Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's Niners news update. Coming off a win over the Los Angeles. I almost fucking fucked up and said San Diego.
San Diego.
So, that one's harder for me than Oakland sometimes. You know, it's still because
yeah,
I've kind of accepted. Like I'll miss
Yeah.
that one sometimes, but I usually acknowledge that the Raiders are in Vegas now. But the Chargers, I still always want to go to San Diego. It's pretty terrible. But yeah, anyway, coming off a 22-16 win over the Chargers. This game was significant for a lot of reasons. Most importantly, it got us up to a winning record at 5-4, put us within a half game of Seattle for first place in the NFC West. It dropped the Chargers down to 5-4. They, of course, are competing with the Chiefs. They're in second place in the AFC West. And yeah, I mean, as far as this game goes, definitely some missed opportunities as far as I think that we could have gotten a lot more points than the 22 that we had. But, you know, happy to have the win. We're going into Monday night game this week against the Arizona Cardinals in Mexico City. So that's obviously pretty exciting. The 49ers and the Cardinals. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say at least in this game, you guys scored every quarter. I mean, you held the Chargers to nothing in the second half because they had the lead going into the half, but you managed to.
Yeah, I mean, there were just a few drives where we got down there. I mean, 3 short field goals by Robbie Gould. I mean, Robbie kicked 3 field goals. His longest was 26, so we stalled out 3 times in the red zone. So just some missed opportunities. That's where I say. Right. So we did score, but I mean, we could have scored touchdowns where we got field goals. And obviously, if we were playing a team like Kansas City and not a team like the Chargers, who were without, you know, their top 2 receivers, I think that would have been bad for us. I mean, but what did I say? But I told you and everybody that was listening last week in our fantasy segment that I thought Herbert would have his worst game of the season. He did.
He did.
With under 200 yards. I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if he has a 9-point game. I don't know what this works out to fantasy-wise. I'm sure we could figure it out. But he was 21
it's
to 35.
more than 9, but not by a lot, I don't think.
Yeah. 196, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. I'm going to clip in my clip from last week because I figure I think I said he was going to throw a pick and get sacked a couple times, and he got sacked twice. We knocked him out of the game at one point. They had to bring backup Chase Daniel in for a couple plays.
Who did nothing.
We sacked his ass too, by the way. So Nick Bosa now up to 9.5 sacks through 8 games. Also, Jordan Willis getting a sack, who just came off IR, and Charles Omenihu getting his 4th sack of the season, which puts him in second place on the team. So good for Charles. You know, he's definitely proven to be a good depth player for us. Yeah, I mean, we mostly avoided the turnovers. We had 1 turnover on a Brandon Ayuk fumble. We were after Jimmy hit him on a pass. The ball just kind of got ripped out of there. And but yeah, 1 turnover apiece for the sides as far as the penalties.
Too bad you guys couldn't have covered Herbert's fumble as well. That would have made it better.
Yeah, Herbert did fumble as well, and then they jumped on that one.
Yeah.
We committed way more penalties than them with 5. They only committed 1, so clean game by the Chargers. But we did control the time of possession with 37 minutes. They held it for 23. And
kind of like the Washington game.
Yeah, I was going to say, similar to Washington, I think your team and our team were the only 2 teams in the league last week that ran it over 40 times for over 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Because like you guys had 49 for, I think, 150s. 152. Something.
I think it was 152.
We just talked about it. So we had 41 for 157, 2 touchdowns, just like AG and B-Rob got in. Jimmy got in on the sneak. Jimmy continues to be lethal on that quarterback sneak.
Right.
And CMC, 14 carries, 38 yards. So not a great average, but 1 touchdown. He was
It's interesting.
spelled.
It seems like they use McCaffrey in the red zone more because Mitchell has way more yards and a few more carries, but he didn't get any touchdowns.
They were using McCaffrey more in the red zone packages in that one.
I think I saw Elijah Mitchell available on fantasy, and I decided not to go with him because McCaffrey's there now. which is probably.
I mean, he's still getting a good amount of work. I think they're going to be split up like this. This is one thing I want to mention.
He's still there. He's still on the list.
Yeah. So Elijah Mitchell, 18 carries, 89 yards, good for a 4.9 yard average. He hasn't played since week 1. He looked great. Obviously, our leading rusher. I don't think that that's going to drop off. I think Kyle continues to split him, because this is one thing I want to mention. With the Panthers, CMC's usage was over 50%. Since coming to the Niners, CMC's usage, as far as like how often he gets the ball and whatnot, is down under 40%. So Kyle is trying to like conserve him more. So I think that we're going to see, because I mean, I don't think Elijah's going to outright lose his job. I mean, Elijah came on like a house of fire last year as a rookie, and Kyle really likes him. So, and we've got him under contract for 2 more years.
I would not expect him to lose his job by any means. I just think it's going to be more of a split back situation.
I think
like
it's going to be running back
Robinson
by committee.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like they're going to use them in different situations, and they're both going to get a lot of playing time. So, but for fantasy, that kind of means neither of them are really going to be ideal picks. I mean, I picked up Pacheco on the Chiefs since Edwards-Helaire.
You're really hoping that the guy that you have is the guy that scores the touchdown this week, and this week it was CMC. CMC did also help his case with 4 catches for 39 yards. He was the third leading receiver on the team.
Yeah, he could always catch a touchdown as well. He's not necessarily just going to run in. He could catch one.
Exactly.
He's a good. So I still think he's a starting running back option.
Yeah,
I wasn't talking about. I more was talking about Elijah Mitchell. I mean, because he should be.
I still think
if he was the starter, he would be worth playing. Yeah. But at the moment, with the way the team is, I don't think he's necessarily worth starting. Maybe a flex position if you have to, but
well, I mean, we'll have to see what he can do. I mean, I guess it depends on what type of fantasy league that you're in. But yeah, for the 4th straight week, Brandon Ayuk, over 5 catches with 6 and over 80 yards for 84. So he's been our most consistent receiver. I mean, Debo only had 2 catches for 24 yards. Of course, he did have 4 carries for 27 yards, so he had about 50 yards total. But and then Kittle only had 1 catch for 21 yards on 2 targets. So really it was Ayuk and Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings had 4 for 40 that were really doing most of the work. But
and the McCaffrey 4 for 39.
Yeah. But like you had said, not Jimmy's best game. I mean, he did finish 19 to 28 for 240. 8.6 yard per carry average, or 8.6 yard per pass attempt average. He was sacked 1 time. Quarterback rating of 94.3, QBR of 57.3. So both of those pretty decent.
I mean, he had decent numbers and yards. It's just the fact he didn't have any scores that really takes away from it.
He did have the rushing touchdown. He had the quarterback.
Oh
sneak,
the QB sneak. That's true.
So, and then on Seattle. I almost did it. I almost said San Diego. On the Chargers side, Austin Eckler really didn't do anything. I mean, it's really hard for teams to run the ball against us. I'm interested when we play you guys, if you guys will stick with the run or if you guys will abandon it like a lot of teams. Because
I think that's going to depend on who's starting at quarterback. If we got Wentz or Heineke,
that's true. I mean, Austin Eckler, this is a travesty of justice. 6 carries, 24 yards. You got to get that man more involved. He's their best offensive player. Without Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, I mean, he's like the only thing they had. In the passing game, good on DeAndre Carter. He was the leading receiver. 4 catches, 64 yards, and a touchdown. Joshua Palmer, 3 catches, 44 yards.
Gerald
Everett,
of the
their tight end.
Well, I thought Sony Michel was a good running back.
He is.
He is.
He's just buried down the depth chart. I think they've got him now.
Okay.
Because they drafted Isaiah Spiller in the 3rd round. So they Sony Michel was 2nd string. And I mean, you're not going to start him over Eckler because Eckler is probably a top 10 back in the league.
Yeah, absolutely.
With what he can do in the running and passing game. So, I mean, Sony Michel is very good, but I think they're starting to like the rookie and they're getting to the point of the season where they're wanting to see him contribute more. But yeah, Sony Michel didn't do shit. Only 1 carry for 2 yards. And
I feel like he might end up on another team soon then, because I mean, I feel like he's a good enough running back to not be that low on the depth chart.
There's a lot of teams that could use him. That could use him. I mean, especially as Seattle's churned through like 3 backs this season with Chris Carson.
I mean, if the Chargers end up really liking the rookie, I wouldn't be surprised to see them move on from him and try and not the trade deadline's done, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, they would have to release him, but I mean, I guess if sometimes they'll do that to a veteran player as like a courtesy. If he's not playing much, they'll let him go at the end of the season, so maybe he can catch on. somewhere else. On the defensive side of the ball, our top 5 defense, playing like a top 5 defense. We got so many guys back in this game. Like I said, Jordan Willis, Dre Greenlaw came back, although Dre got ejected with a bullshit call. Did you? Oh no, you didn't see it. But
no, I didn't see it.
He ended up getting called on for a helmet to helmet, and he got disqualified in his first game back.
What quarter did this happen in? I see he's the leading tackler for the game. It was Fred Warner.
It was the third quarter. So yeah, he was going off before that happened.
So he would have been. I mean, he's already leading, but he would have probably had more than anybody had he not gotten ejected. So I didn't know about that.
So basically, what was happening was it was Justin Herbert was running. He was a running player. So mind you, at this point, he's not a quarterback. He's a runner.
Right.
And he was being tackled from behind, I think by Jimmy Ward. And Herbert's like coming down, right? So, mind you, the target is changing. So Dre Greenlaw comes in and he's leading with the shoulder, and he kind of goes like helmet to helmet, but not really. But it's because like Herbert's gradually going down, and by the time Greenlaw gets to him and his momentum's carrying him, it's like almost like a helmet to helmet shot, or it looked like it. So he gets disqualified for this shot because the man's being tackled basically into his helmet zone. So he gets disqualified in his first game back. There were a lot of posts, like he posted from the locker room, "Free me." That was pretty funny.
That's funny.
Fred Warner had 7 tackles. Nick Bosa had 4 and a sack. Like we said, he's up to 9.5 sacks.
Hey, why does George Kittle have a tackle on this list? Isn't he an offensive player?
It was the Ayuk fumble, bud.
Oh, okay. I was looking at that and I'm like, what the fuck? Why is George Kittle on this list?
We're not playing him at outside linebacker. We didn't put him in for Dre.
I couldn't figure that out. I mean, it makes sense now. You're right. Yeah, a fumble.
George, we're gonna need you to suit up and play outside backer.
Oh, that was confusing me. I'm sitting there looking at this and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. George saved the touchdown return on that. But yeah, so Nick Bosa getting a sack, so that means the Bosa boys, the Bosa family, have officially reached the 100-sack club. Unfortunately, Joey didn't play, although that's probably good for Jimmy because he only got sacked once by Khalil Mack. But Nick Bosa, 9.5 sacks through 8 games, ranks 2nd in the league. So Nick Bosa's going off.
Hell yeah.
Hopeful that Chase can do some good things.
Chase Young does the same, I know, right?
Same ACL surgeon, so he does prime work.
He has a chance. He's got a chance.
Put some, like I said, I know I said it last week, I don't want to be too repetitive, but maybe throw a little bit of adamantium in that ACL for good measure. Why not? Dustin Hopkins missed the game. I'll mention that only because 10 of the Chargers' 16 points came on the leg of rookie kicker. This is a great name. Cameron
Dicker.
Dicker the kicker is what they're calling him. Dicker
the kicker. Oh my
Dicker
God.
The kicker.
That's better than Chris Blewett.
Chris Blewett, yeah. Because he did blow it. And so
he did blow it. I don't know. That might be better, actually, because Jesus Christ.
Chris got an opportunity, and he blew
it. But kicker's a kicker for life.
Yeah. But he was filling in for D-Hop, your old kicker.
I know.
Dustin Hopkins has the groin injury.
Who's actually has a better statistical record this season on kicks than Joey Sly does. I remember seeing that. But
go figure. Go figure.
Yeah, right. Exactly. As soon as we move on from a player, then they start. It's like, you know what? Fuck you. All right. I like Joey Sly. I'm
Hopkins can't hit at the range from Joey Sly though.
That's true.
Joey Sly gives you, if you need to try like a game winner from 60 yards with time expiring.
Yeah.
Joey Sly gives you a chance.
Yeah.
Robbie Maddock, Robbie Maddock, who cannot hit a 60-yard field goal. I love Robbie, but Robbie's career long's 58. Robbie's career long's 58, so
than Joey.
Yeah, for sure. Robbie's going to be like right down the middle, like laces out pretty much every time.
Yeah.
He did miss an extra point in this game, but he's been having a great season. 3 for 3 in this game.
It's weird how that just happens sometimes. They miss an extra point every now and then. You're like, what?
Sometimes this wasn't even a long one. Just like when it was just like that far outside. It was real. Close,
that's usually how it works with the extra points. If they miss it, it's not that wide usually because it's so close. It's going to be close.
Mitch Wishnowski's extra point. He made one of the two, but the one that he missed was like,
let's
that was
not
the worst
even
extra
talk
point
about
I've seen.
That was the worst extra point I've ever seen in my life. I think. Other
He's
than
like,
Chris
well,
Blewett's
that's why I'm one of the
kick
best
attempt-
punters
kick
because
attempts.
I can he's like I could pin him within the 20. He's like I don't kick field goals.
Like I don't
Start
worry about
practicing,
this
Mitch.
upright shit. This isn't my
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Although Mitch did have a punt partially blocked in that game, so I hope our special teams aren't starting to come unglued gradually.
You don't need that. That's
I know.
People overlook the special teams, but man, if your special team sucks, it
I
hurts.
never overlook the special teams, dog. That's
I know you don't. You're a kicker. Of course
phases.
you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, happy to get the win. Obviously, we could have won by more. Next game, of course, Mexico City. The NFL's first ever international game happened in 2005, and it did not go well for us, but it was Niners Cardinals. They beat us 31-14. The Cardinals were obviously led by Kurt Warner at that time. We were led by Tim Rattay, and eventually Tim Rattay, that was the game I think that gave way to Alex Smith. When they were like, all right, well, we've seen enough of Tim Rattay. We're gonna bring in Alex. And Alex played, some in the second half of the game. But yeah, I mean, we got to avenge that. We got a chance to redeem 2005 with a win over the Cardinals. They swept
only
us last
17
year
years ago.
Yeah. The Cardinals swept us last year, but we're a significantly better team than them. And we don't know what quarterback they're going to have. Obviously, both Kyler with a hamstring and Colt McCoy with the leg injury are both on the injury report. And Cliff's not going to tell us before he has to which quarterback's going to start for obvious reasons.
Of course not.
It's a competitive advantage. Makes sense. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. Obviously, they've got James Conner at running back, who, he scored 2 touchdowns the other week. They've got D-Hop back. And also I've seen that they could be getting Marquise Hollywood Brown, who's also been on my fantasy team, is also nearing his return. I don't know if it's going to be this week, but he's going to be returning soon. So I hope it's not this week though. I hope he misses one more week for obvious reasons. And they also have AJ Green, who's a veteran player. So they've got some talented players. And for some reason, I mean, one of our losses to them last year came at the hands of Colt McCoy. So he has proven, despite being limited, that he can absolutely get the job done.
Let's hope he's not like the Niners kryptonite somehow, the Rams kryptonite, like Colt McCoy.
I just think that we're a more talented team than them at this point. I mean, at this point,
I agree 100%.
The Cardinals are,
especially without Kyler Murray. There's no reason you should not beat Arizona. I mean, even with Kyler Murray at this point, with Nick Bosa and the defensive pass rush you guys have, there's really no reason you shouldn't win, even if it was Kyler Murray. The way that
and Arizona's 4-6 now at this point. So
so it's like, it's one of the. I mean, any given Sunday, obviously anything can always happen.
For sure,
but
absolutely.
It's if I was betting
just
money,
coming off of a win over the Rams, of course, that being in a backup quarterback bowl where it was Colt McCoy versus John Wolford.
Yeah,
and
which made a big difference in why they probably won that game. I mean, Colt McCoy is probably a better backup quarterback than John Wolford, I would say.
Yeah, but I mean, if he had to outduel Matt Stafford, we'll see.
Well, yeah, that's a different story. But
also, I mean, it was John.
Colt
it was
McCoy
John
sometimes
Wolford
does well. I mean, it
was John Wolford kind of hanging Cooper Kupp out to dry on a high pass that he had to jump for, and then he got hit low. That caused the ankle injury. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You figure if Matty Stafford's in there, he probably locates that ball. A lot of Rams fans were saying that, directly blaming Wolford, and I mean, I don't think they're necessarily wrong. So, yeah, I mean, if Matty Stafford starts that game and he doesn't have
it's probably not 100%
doesn't have the
his fault,
concussion,
damn, they need him back, that's for sure.
Yeah, the Rams season's done without Cooper Kupp, absolutely.
Well, he's gone for
It was probably done anyway, but
good.
Yeah, I mean, they won't be defending as Super Bowl champs, that's safe to say. But, yeah, I mean, join us next week. I mean, we've got the Cardinals. Obviously, they present some defensive challenges, but I just think our offense is capable of doing so much. Hopefully, we can score more than the 22 points and go to 6-4 and keep this momentum going. We've won 2 straight now. But join us next week.
You got it.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm hoping. Go Niners. And that's going to do it for the Extra Point Show this week. Make sure that you subscribe if you're not already. It really helps us out and helps us grow. Give us a like as well.
Absolutely. And if you're a Washington fan or a San Francisco fan, make sure to always check out the Commanders Countdown and the Niners News Update.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you all next week.
See you next week.